Hey, welcome back to the table. So it's been a few days, and I apologize for being away for a while. Believe it or not, I ended up getting an infection in my right hand, and it was so bad that just playing a board game hurt. And I still can show you a little bit. This is my left hand, so you can see what my normal finger looks like. And you can see my finger there, how it's still red and swollen. And this is after I've been feeling better. It was like all the way down to my knuckle down here, and this was like twice as swollen. It's really bad. I've had to be on antibiotics and everything for it, and I'm assuming it was just a hangnail kind of thing that just got infected. But man, oh man, it can turn into something serious, and getting old sucks. But I couldn't, like, just the process of picking up pieces, although I'm awful at it anyways, this really hurts, or it used to hurt. I mean, I'm feeling fine now. And also, I didn't want you guys to see too much of it, even though I keep doing this now. But what I did was I used that time, I finally got onto Facebook and gave everybody my feedback on what I think about the game. And as you heard from my last video, I really think this game's broken. Like, I think it's a great game. Here's the funny part. It's a fun game. It's a great game, but the expansion rules are broken. And what they did to the basic game, I think, was well tested. It's just the expansions. So I came up with some ideas. I was encouraged by a viewer to do my ideas. And my big moral dilemma while I was off is, do I play the game by its puristic rules, the pure rules, or do we just play with our house rules? Now, this is the beautiful part of a solitaire game. You can play with your house rules, and who cares? But obviously, when you do a video, people get a little cantankerous when you do that. So what I did was I came up with some of my own house rules. And if you've been following the BGG forums, this is going to look very familiar to you. But and this very last rule is going to be optional, and I may not play with this very last rule, but let me just get them in front of you here. So rule number 1. Somebody on the forum said that a land-based aircraft, the last one doesn't leave an island. And I think they're full of bunk, because they said that the Yamamoto rules added this. And I looked all throughout the Yamamoto rules, and if somebody knows where that exists, please share it with me, like what paragraph, because I think that's bunk. But I did think it was a good idea. So my first rule is that instead of just looking for one of either one to be on an island, both get to stay. So I don't know if we have an example of that in our current game, but like, for example, here, if this was the situation, that would be just, I would automatically do this and not even do an order for them. So one plane and one battalion will stay behind always. And why am I saying this? Look at that stack of plain doom over there. It is a little ridiculous that they just keep circling back in Japan. And so what I'm going to do is I'm hopefully going to start causing those planes to have to remain on each of the islands. That way the defense is more than just a single battalion. Now, maybe that's wrong of me to do. I don't know. But that's what I want to try. So let's try it, right? I think that might make the AI a little stronger. Now, what is going to help us maybe is that if we do no order for those, that prevents the resupply track from growing, which means that the auto invasion of Midway is harder, right? Because we don't have all these dinky rolls for all these other islands. So it could work to our advantage sometimes, but we'll see. Number 2, supply orders are in effect. And what that means is that Japan can't invade Samoa if I have these 2 locations. They have to take the Solomon Islands first before they can get to New Caledonia. And they can't take this and, for that. Now, they could go straight for the Gilbert Islands because they have this one and can go through, that way. But yes, they have to follow supply. And I did verify, it does line up with Midway, 1942, because, they can follow the supply to get to Midway and then to Hawaii. Now, I know some of you might get crafty and say, well, now we can just take Wake Island, and that prevents them from going to Midway. I think that if a battle order in 1942, this offensive battle order, this is the exception. So I will tell you, that's the exception to the supply order rule. What this rule is meant to cover is the sortie. The sortie goes against any U.S. held objective, and so it's just sort of a random crapshoot. Now I know a sortie is going to go to a very specific place. Okay, automatic hold for any Japanese held objectives. So fleets and whatnot are going to automatically hold at a Japanese held objective, which isn't all the islands, right? It's only the objectives, which is what's important. Auto hold for U.S. objective if the fleet card is full size. So this guy here, Surface Fleet 1, is not full size. You can see here, I know the camera might be misleading, but there's only 2 units here. Everything else is just a card, okay? So, so this guy would no longer auto hold because that's a U.S. objective, and he's not full strength, so he will move on. Auto hold is done before scouting. And what I mean by that is that we're going to do the auto hold action and force the resupply to go up by 4, because that's what, you know, the hold action does. It makes it go up by 4. We're going to make it go up. So that way when the scouting action occurs, those units that we're scouting are going to be aggressive. And that's what, you know, we're trying to do. It's what code breaking and everything's all about in scouting. So I think this will make it more thematic. And then this last one was something somebody suggested, which I really loved. And that's the battalion units have only 1 hit point. So, and they're right, because in most games, they don't do this. So right now, if you hit this battalion unit, you flip it over to its damage side, then you have to hit it again to eliminate it. And so what they're suggesting is it really only has 1 hit point. So 1 hit on this, and it's gone. That could drastically make the game easier. Actually, it does drastically make the game easier. It's a little more thematic, and it certainly helps with the Hawaii situation. But I think the reason why I love the idea is because it counterbalances the fact that when you roll for number of turns, the number of battle turns could be just 1. And then also it helps with the fact that you get these stacks of infantry that just show up. And it makes the Japanese named infantry more valuable, right? All of the above there. And I was thinking that if you play with this final rule, that maybe the battalion units, so a couple of things. Number one, the named infantry have to get on the transport ships first, right? Because battalion units aren't going to be as strong. And then the named infantry will be the first to leave, like these back islands, you know, like Okinawa, that are not objectives. So the battalions will stay behind, but the named infantry will move on. So that's some things to keep in mind, that if you want to try this rule. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try it. And if it makes it too easy, we can scrap it and just do the other ones. But I do like the suggestion. There are times when the battalions are very annoying. But you know what? When I have four carriers going after them, it's not so bad. But that's part of the problem. If I have 4 carriers going after them, then I don't have any of my carriers going after anything else. Now, this, I think, will make the game so you could send a fleet with just 1 carrier to a location and probably do some damage. But that might make the game too easy. I just don't know yet. So I would like to try this in 1942, but since I've already done 4 playthroughs of 1942, I didn't want to force you to suffer through that. So we will just continue this game and we'll apply the rules. And I did have to look up my last video. I think we did the manufacturing and building steps, and now we're at the point where we're just getting ready to do scouting. And so if you look over here, I got 4 points for scouting, 3 points for battle plans, and we're good to go. So let's do the automatic hold stuff. So for example, that's not an automatic hold, but this would be no action, right? Those 3, and the Mariana Islands would be a 4th one. And then as far as automatic holds go, Surface Fleet 3 would be an automatic hold. Surface Fleet 2 and Carrier Fleet 4 would be automatic holds, right? So those would be the automatic holds. So what does automatic hold mean? Well, first thing, automatic hold means that 3 land-based aircraft are going to hold with them, plus an infantry. And then, of course, resupply is going to go up 1, 2, 3. So they're already going to be at maximum plus 8 once we do scouting. The other thing is, so this is US, so there's a battle here. So these guys are pinned as well. The planes are not. But since we did an automatic hold, these planes are pinned. They're part of the hold action. Okay. Now over here, these planes will be pinned as part of the automatic hold. And then this infantry, of course, is the only infantry on the island, so he would be an auto hold as well. So that's how that looks. Now I have 4 points for scouting. So I can choose to scout 1, 2, and then 3 is the carrier fleet. And then I'm looking here, 4 is for carrier fleet 1. Let's do it this way. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I won't be able to scout carrier fleet 5. I know you probably can't see that very well. I won't be able to scout carrier fleet 5, but I'll be able to at least get 1 and 3. 1, as you can see, is full strength. 3 is almost full strength. 5 is down to just 2. And remember, this was because they built so many ships from their reinforcements. And then this guy's going to get free reign. So there's going to be 2 fleets that are going to get to move, and we don't know where they're going. But we're at least going to know where 4 of them are going. And so here's my 4 supply points. So let's rock and roll. And remember, anytime they move, they have to fill up their transports. So, for example, Carrier Fleet 5 is empty because it hasn't moved yet. But like when we're looking over here, Carrier Fleet 4 actually has a transport. So if I were to invade Wake Island, that transport would be a part of the defense of Wake Island. It would count as a transport. You know, it wouldn't be in the foxholes, but it'd be a transport. Because he moved there, but he didn't actually, do anything there. There was no battle or anything. Surface Fleet 3 has an empty transport, and Surface Fleet 1 has an empty. And for example, for this one, when he moves somewhere else, he's going to fill up his transport with stuff. Okay? All right, so let's do, we get to choose the order. So let's do Battleship Fleet 1. So that's a 2, plus an 8 is 10. He's going to withdraw. And, somebody pointed out that support and withdrawal got reversed in the rule book. And that might explain why I was always so frustrated about that. I didn't even remember to check that until right now. So in the rule book, support says, move 1 area closer to Japan. And then withdrawal says, randomly select ships, blah, 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 to an area with Japanese forces ashore, except for Japan. So yeah, it is backwards in the rule book. So the withdrawal order is 1 closer to Japan, like it says, and then the support order is you're going anywhere there's Japanese forces ashore. And that's different than an objective, right? Because down here it reinforces an objective with Japanese forces ashore. This is just anywhere that has Japanese forces ashore. So support is not moving backwards like we've been playing. And that makes me feel better because I always hated that both of those actions did the same thing. And it's because I was reading the rule book. And so the rule book actually has the words for withdrawal. The words that should have been for support are under withdrawal, and the words for withdrawal are under support. it's a little ridiculous, but you know, DVG's done a lot worse. I'm thinking Corsair Leader rulebook was quite bad. But DVG customer service is excellent. And I think the DVG games are excellent. So I really support this company. I truly, truly do. I don't like the fact that they have ignored me at times when it comes to videos, because I've done more DVG videos than anybody. And they've ignored me a lot. And so I do have a little bit of a personal beef with them. But Dean Brown, who did the B-17, he personally spoke with me and is friends with me and has chatted with me many times about my video of his series, and he enjoyed it and he loved it. And I was really proud to do that for him. And I even got, we got a bunch of rules wrong. And even he sometimes forgot that I got rules wrong. But it happens. You know, DVG makes good stuff. But these kind of mistakes, yeah, they make those too. So you just have to be a little forgiving. All right. But with that said, they're going to withdrawal. So withdrawal is simple. That just means they would move closer to Japan, which would be this way. So they're going to the Mariana Islands. And in doing so, oh, their transport's already full. So we're good there. Okay, so that's that one. And this would move up by 1. And then now we're going to do Carrier Fleet 2. So 9 plus 8 is 17. That's a sortie. And so they're going after U.S. held objectives. And so instead of here and here, it's only going to be here and here now. So this would be even odd. Okay. Now, just for fun, actually Midway would count too. So 3, 6, 9. Otherwise it would have been 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So just see how it would have played out. So that's a 5. So 3, 6 is here. And then if it was a 5, it would have been 2, 4. It would have been back here. So they would have gone after Samoa deep inside the lines. But now they're going after Gilbert Islands. So Carrier Fleet 2 is coming here. And Carrier Fleet 2 has 2 infantry on their transport. So that's how that looks. So there's definitely going to be a battle there. And if they do a sortie, they get a -4 to their die roll. See, I'm already liking my little modification because I just scouted something and it gave me valuable information. So I know Gilbert Islands is going to be a hot zone, right? And so I can scramble my forces and do something, make some good decisions. And that's what makes a good game, is the ability to make good decisions. So let's go to Carrier Fleet 1. That's a 2 plus 4 is 6. It's a refit, but they're already in Japan, so it becomes a hold, and I'll show you where they are. They're here. So Carrier Fleet 1 is holding, so that means 3 of the planes are holding with it. And we've always played that the infantry don't hold along with it because he's carrying his own infantry. The fleets are. Okay, so next is Carrier Fleet 3, the final scout. So we rolled a 5 plus 8 is 13, and they're going east, and he can do that. So he goes to Iwo Jima, and he's going to bring 2 planes with him, which he can also do. And oops, I've moved the wrong fleet. It's Carrier Fleet 3, along with 2 planes. And I know I don't have the camera pointed the right way, but so what happened was these 2 moved from Japan to here, and I just needed to make sure those planes are separated from those ones, because those ones can still do orders. Okay, so that's where it ends up. Everywhere in blue is where we scouted. And so those guys are finished. And so the big thing that jumped out is this is a possibility. And we got this situation where it's hot, hot, hot. So they're getting their highest die roll. And it is possible they could invade Solomon or Midway or whatever as a surprise, right? Because we have some of them that we know that are pinned, but not all of them are helpful. So Carrier Fleet 2 is not full strength. And it does, however, have a battleship and 3 carriers. So it has 3 carriers and a battleship. So it's definitely not something to be laughed at. So if we did a destroyer, a carrier, there's 2 carriers, 2 destroyers, and then we have, I'm just going to set my cruisers aside. We do have a battleship, not a very strong one. We have 2 subs, and we have a 3rd destroyer. Do I have a 3rd carrier? I do. So I have 3 carriers, and so I can do Gilbert Islands with them, and then have the 3 destroyers come as like escorts, right? So because it's nice to have an escort with each carrier. So I can help defend Gilbert Islands. I'm looking over at New Guinea here, and I see that I do have a lot of planes, and I think we made a decision that my planes themselves might be able to take Gilbert Islands without needing to do anything. However, Surface Fleet 3 is here. It's a submarine and a cruiser, and that's all it is. So because this is a carrier fleet, I like the idea of sending the subs, because subs, if they do hit, it's going to be a carrier that they hit. It might be overkill, but we do have a surface fleet. We have a carrier fleet here I could send subs after. And the only thing that would happen is the subs get to shoot, and then they get to do their counter shoot. It is an interesting concept to send them after this carrier fleet, because the only thing that can go after me are the carriers themselves, plus whatever escorts they have. Carrier Fleet 4 has a depth charge value of 2. So I could send 2 subs after this carrier fleet here just to harass them and maybe get some nice hits on a carrier. It's an interesting concept. I don't know how much I like it, but it's interesting. So then, yeah, now I got 2 cruisers, and I can put 2 cruisers and a battleship on this, or just 2 cruisers. And then I can take these 2 cruisers and a battleship, and I can actually come over here to help out against Surface Fleet 3. So that's a possibility, right? We can help out with the New Guinea, or we keep them all together, because Carrier Fleet 2 is, like I said, it's 3 carriers, and they are 2 of them are full strength. The battleship will not be fighting us. It's going to be on anti-air support, because of the way the rules work, right? The carriers are going to sit up in the ocean, and since the battleship is the only land-based coastal surface ship, it's going to be back with the carriers. So by I'm not worried about these guys getting hit by the battleship. It's really just it would be the carrier planes themselves that would go after these guys. And if I put more of these here, I'm really using them just to pound this infantry and battalion unit more than anything, because there's nothing else to hit. So that's why I'm tempted to divide them up a little bit and try to help out over in New Guinea. Now, I do have a whole bunch of these. And those are in the West Coast. And one of them is a battalion unit. And here's the thing. Since these guys are now out of supply range for Japan, I can put a battalion here and then let this guy move elsewhere, right? That's, I think, the value of it. And then, you know, I have several other battalions, and this one's going to go to Hawaii, for example, which gives me another one, right, that I can use. And then Midway is going to get one just because they should. And then I have a Marine unit and another infantry, right? And then this battalion here can allow me to move this Aussie off of this spot. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him reinforce Samoa. So we don't know if they're going to attack Samoa, but he's going to reinforce Samoa just in case, right? And then we can let the Aussies defend that. We have a plane here. if I ever can produce some more planes, we'll start filling up our airfields at each of these places. That has not happened. Most of our planes are, all of our planes are here, and we've lost a lot of them. I do have one Marine unit, which will make invading somewhere a little easier. So for example, I can put the Marine here, and then he'll go straight from the transport to the foxhole to help out in this battle. I could do that. And you can see here I got several other infantry divisions. I'm not, because here's the thing, with them doing a hold order, I can't go after these softer targets. Like this guy, this has only one guy defending it. But because of an automatic hold order, that carrier fleet is actually making it harder for me to take Wake Island. I have to deliberately send a force, which I think thematically is what you were supposed to do. So what I could do with my Marine unit, though, is I could get sneaky and just try to take Borneo over here and just go for the shot that no one's going to really try to reinforce Borneo. So if I send him alone, he's going to win because that's a battalion unit. That's a little gamey, but it would work because it's very lightly defended and chances are they're not going to go there. But by doing that, that does make the battle option happen, and then the support option, they could go there because of this. Excuse me. So it leaves me with 3 guys. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to send 2 of them by transport to help Gilbert, just in case, right? We got to help out there. And then the last one I'll send by transport, and we're going to we're going to help out Solomon Islands just for now, because there's a chance they might attack Solomon Islands, right? So we'll just help that out. And then the midway, I'm keeping all my infantry there for now. All right, so hopefully that made sense. So far, I know we're just on the first turn of trying my new rules. I feel like I made some really powerful choices. Like I had information that I was able to react to, and I was able to build up what I want to do about that information. I still have the chances of them attacking me somewhere that they may not attack. I still have the chance of trying to surprise them, which they may thwart. I think all the makings of a great game are happening, with these rule changes. So I don't think I've broken it yet. I'm still tempted to say we should not make their battalion single hit. So I'm going to call that off the board for the moment. We're going to play with the battalions doing 2 hit points for now. Because just my thinking about this game, I really think, that might make it too easy if their battalions are that weak. Because that also means that our battalions are only 1 hit point, and we get to benefit from the fact that they take 2 hit points too. So, I sort of like that, and we're going to just leave it as it is. Okay, so now let's move to their turn. And as you may recall, whoever has the least amount of units, like whatever area has the least amount of units that need to move, are going to go first. And Surface Fleet 1 has only 2 ships. So this is 2 units. And this here is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So believe it or not, Surface Fleet 1 is going first. Then Caroline will go with 4. And then Iwo Jima will go also with 4. I'd always go with the ones that are closest to Hawaii if there's a tie. And I think you're supposed to roll, but it's just easier. And then Japan goes last, okay? Only 3 places need to actually move. So let's roll for Surface Fleet 1. And I rolled a 1. Plus an 8 is 9. He's going to withdraw 1 closer to Japan. Now, what's interesting about this is he's actually joining Carrier Fleet 2. So now, all of a sudden, I got myself a bigger battle. And Surface Fleet 1 is going to take 3 transports. So now the battle just got a lot bigger. So 1, 2, and I said I would take the strong infantry first over the battalions. Oh, you know what? I said that would be the case if battalions were only worth 1 hit point. So I'm going to do it in order this time. Okay, so... All right, so that battle got a little bit harder. And yes, now I'm wishing I had more than just 2 cruisers staying behind, but it's still not bad. Okay, so he's done. So now we go to the Caroline Islands. I rolled a 7 plus 8 is 15. That's a reinforce. An objective with Japanese forces ashore. There are 3 of them, and they all belong to the Japanese. So we're going to do 3, 6, 9. I rolled a 7. So the 3, 6, 9 was either here, here, or here. So they're going to go reinforce Wake Island. So 1 infantry and 3 plane go. So we're going to send 1 infantry, and there's no need to load it on a transport because even though we have submarines there, I mean, we could theoretically try to go after their transport with the submarines, but that's not what we're doing. We're going after their carrier. So there's 2, and that's it. Okay, now we got 2 battalions here, so we still got to roll to do another action. And I rolled a 4 plus 8, that's 12. So he's going south closer to Australia. And it has to be where Japanese is ashore. So this guy is coming here, and he's going to be on a transport trying to reinforce New Guinea. Very thematic. That actually felt thematic, that they're trying to reinforce the New Guinea battle. Okay, so we keep going. Now we're on to Iwo Jima. There's a 3 plus 8 is 11. And so this is where it gets wonky. Now they got to support any of these places that have Japanese forces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then just roll again if it's 9 or 10. So there's a 3. And believe it or not, 1, 2, 3 is the one location I thought I could sneak a win. So they're sending an infantry and 2 planes. So I may have just lost a Marine unit from that. And yes, they can have 4 planes there. Oh, somebody mentioned that the rule book, this limit of 4 planes is only for the Americans, that the Japanese can have as many planes as they want. And I find that to be bullcrap. Like, that is in the rule book. I did verify it. It's just bunk. I mean, if I'm limited to 4 planes, so are they. So tough diddly. And that's my response to that. I'm not going to play with that rule. That just seems ridiculous. So we're going to move on. All right, so that one actually felt thematic, even though it's painful to us. Okay, so this guy is no longer moving. Oh, and by the way, my rule was that 1 infantry, 1 plane stays behind. I guess you could argue that this infantry is not coming, right? Because he has to stay behind and help per my rule. That makes an interesting argument out of this. And it might mean that my rule is not good. Like it may be a bad house rule. So this is a situation where that infantry really would have been helpful here, but the planes were able to go. So what good is it that the infantry has to stay behind? I don't know, to be quite honest with you. In this case, this new rule is benefiting us immensely because now I don't have an infantry to deal with there. But I'm going to stick with the rule. Let's just see how this plays out and how the balance feels. But that's where we're at. Okay, now we're on to Japan, and Carrier Fleet 3 or 5 still has a roll. So let's do a Carrier Fleet first. Ooh, I rolled a 10 plus an 8. This went up by 1, by the way. It's now 18, so it's doing a sortie. So a sortie is 3, 6, 9, whereas the 9 is Midway, 3 is Solomon, 6 is Gilbert Islands. And I rolled a 10, so I'm going to have to re-roll. 4, so that would be Gilbert Islands. So now all of a sudden we're overwhelmed because the Japanese are responding swiftly and strongly. And yes, I wish I had these 3 extra ships now and my 2 submarines. This is too much. But that's what I get for not knowing everything that's happening. So That blows. Okay, so they're moving there. The resupply marker goes down by 4. 2 planes and, oh, we got to check. Carrier Fleet 5 is going to take 1 infantry with them. So we're going to have 1 more on the transport. And then 2 planes are just going to stay in Japan on a hold order because of that. And now we just keep rolling. 7 plus 4 is 11. That's a support. And we're going to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stuff. So I rolled a 4. So that means they're going to Iwo because we went 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So Iwo is going to get a battalion and 2 planes. Right, I like that. And then this goes up by 1. Keep rolling. There's a 10. Plus 4 is 14. They're going to join a battle. Well, there's 3 battles going on. Yeah, 3. So 3, 6, 9. I rolled a 9. They're joining the Gilbert Islands. So it's going to be 1 infantry and 2 planes. Well, the 2 planes can't come because they haven't landed there. But the 1 infantry is available, and that's the battalion. So this transport is now stacked. And then 2 planes will stay, and now I'm just rolling for 3 planes. Another battle, so 3, 6, 9. This is a 1. So 2 planes are coming down here to make our Marine's life miserable. That Marine is not going to survive. And then 5 plus 4 is 9. And withdrawal becomes a hold. So that means he's going to go up to maximum resupply. And that's it. That's the end of the turn orders. I would say that Japan is still quite tough, even with my new rules. I mean, yeah, some of the rolls went against me in some ways, but some of the rolls went for me. And I still think this is very balanced. And I'm going to have myself a very challenging battle. And I don't think that my new rules broke anything. And what's funny is that thing that I brought up about how they're going to roll battle and then choose to join that Marine that's trying to steal an island for cheap. And guess what? I tried to steal an island for cheap, and then 2 planes went there for that, because of that. So that's the game. Now, I know that the dice rolls could have gone my way, but that's the game, getting it done for me. Now, the fact that they also moved there for a different action, that was just double. That's the game just pounding me hard. This was not necessary, especially now that I know about this. This is an interesting experiment, but I wish they were here. So let's go ahead and get some stuff done. Do you need help?
Yes.
Right, I will take a quick break to help some personal things, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.